Hello everybody and welcome back to Spellweaver. My name is Boltor and I'm so glad you joined me in this video. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to marvel at the artwork of Obelisk Unity. I mean, there's just so much to unpack with this. What? Spoilers? The hell are you talking about? I don't have any spoilers. What is this? Oh, Rage? Rage spoilers? God, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I haven't an absolute clue. You guys are so completely... Wait, what's that? Battle-Scarred Elder. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna drop the charade now. Let's talk about the cards. Yes, I have all the Rage spoilers. I even have the multi-aspect cards, which I'm sure you've seen multiple times, but hey, I'll talk about them. Everyone got one aspect, and everyone got all the multi-aspect cards, so we'll go through all of them. Now, before we start this off, I want to say that Rage got some really interesting mechanics. They got some interactions that are kind of bizarre, almost, but we'll get to those. First things first, we've got a 3-mana 4/4, 2-speed, 3-level Battle-Scar Elder. He's an Orc Warrior. When he enters the field, you draw a card if he's the biggest attack creature you control, which, if you're playing, mono Rage, he probably is, because he's bigger than a Phoenix. He's not bigger than a Dragon, but, he's cheaper than a Dragon, so he comes down before Dragon does. And the only issue is, I talked about this guy with Jodo and Fuzz, and the number one thing was, well, he's good. He's not better than a Phoenix, which of course you get at the exact same mana cost and level cost. So that's kind of the bar for a lot of these cards, and he's good. He'll definitely see play, I think, if only in budget decks, because he's a really good budget card. He's card dry and he's a pretty solid body for an uncommon, but he's not better than Phoenix. So next we get into excuse me, I had to adjust my microphone. We're gonna get into one of the two Rage interactions. Blood Frenzy, 2-mana, 1-level. It deals 1 damage to any number of creatures you control. The enemy hero distributes that much damage among creatures he or she controls. So you can do 1 to every one of your creatures. Say you have 5 creatures, and then your opponent has to distribute 5 damage their way. Now, you're sitting here thinking, wow, this is just a terrible card. Why would you deal damage to your own creatures? Well, there are actually a lot of Rage cards coming up that we'll talk about that have interactions with being damaged. They get buffed when they're damaged, they gain special abilities when they're damaged, they do this or that when they're damaged. So it's an enabler for some of the Rage combo cards, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a bit. Next, we have Cannonade, which of course begins the other interactions, target emblems. Everyone knows target emblems. You guys know, what is it, Elf Tracker? He puts a target emblem on a creature, and then he's got range, and if he deals damage to a creature with a target emblem, he kills him. Well, Rage got I think a dozen or so cards that interact with target emblems, so who knows, maybe Elf Tracker becomes the new meta. Anyway, 3-mana, 2 levels, put a target emblem on an enemy creature. The enemy hero distributes 4 damage among creatures he or she controls. Shock each creature with a target emblem dealt this way. So if you use other cards, put target emblems on the other creatures, you can in theory shock their entire board with this card. Or you could target emblem something important, and then they have to either distribute damage to smaller creatures, which will probably kill them, or they have to shock their big creature. You know what I mean? So there are ways of playing this card. I'm not saying it's really good. I'm saying it's okay. It's kind of wonky, but then again, every one of these distribute damage, your opponent distributes damage, are kind of wonky because you're putting it in the hands of your opponent. It's going to take a bit of a strategic play to really kind of force your opponent into a corner with it. But hey, it's an artillery strike. It's just kind of meant to soften things up. Right? That's what you do with an artillery barrage. You're not really aiming for anything specific. You're just hoping to kind of soften things up for your attack. Next. Oh, this guy. 4-mana, 5/5. I'm going to say that again. 4-mana, 5/5. One more time. 4-mana, 5/5. Speed 2 even. It's got 2 levels, but okay. You're playing Burning Rage anyway. 4-mana, 5/5, unstoppable. 4-mana, 5/5, unstoppable. Damage creatures you control gain +1 attack, so you can get the interaction with Blood Frenzy, So Blood Frenzy interacts with this guy pretty well. He's got the threshold of four aspects, 2 rage and 2 generic. Pay 3 mana, deal 1 damage to all creatures, including himself, so he'll become a 6/4 if you activate his ability. Plus, it's board-wide damage, you know? 3 mana, 1 damage across the board, 3 mana, 1 damage across the board. I mean, he kills elves by doing that. I'm not saying, you know, he's kind of a slower answer to elves, but, you know, I'm so happy that Rage got an ability where they can affect the board outside of Advanced Zash. You know what I mean? And Fire Blast. But, like, just think about all those times you've had a Fire Blast and you just need that 1 extra damage on a couple creatures. Well, Fire Blast them, and then this guy mops them up. Or he's going to enable some other creatures that deal with taking damage. And I'm just... this guy, he's by far my favorite legendary in this set that I've seen so far. And I've seen all cards except Order. I still have yet to see the Order cards. But other than that... let's see, Jodo got Dominion, Fuzz got Corruption, and his video will be up probably before mine. Peacekeeper got Wisdom, and Forest Bears got Nature. I don't know who got Order, but you guys can look up those videos and find the spoilers for the other sets there. We will, Fuzz, Jodo, and I, and hopefully Peacekeeper, will be doing a podcast the day the set releases, where we talk about all of the cards. So if you want to see all the spoilers in one place, you know, that you can do. Here we go, the Skill Shrine. Fire God Temple. 1 level, well, let's skip that part, because it's the same as everyone. 2 levels, 1 rage, 1 generic. Rune of Fire, 2 mana, 1 turn cooldown. 1 turn cooldown, so, yeah. Next time you play a level 1 creature this turn, choose 1. Put a target emblem on a creature, or deal 2 damage to a creature with a target emblem. It seems, if I remember correctly, every one of the new skill shrines interacts with when you play a level 1 creature this turn, or next time you play a level 1 creature this turn. So you can either put a target emblem on an enemy creature, which enables some of the other interactions that we'll see. You know, with Cannonade, it could, you know, then you could shock them by playing Cannonade, or deal 2 damage to a creature with a target emblem. So if they've already put a target emblem on someone, then you ping them. Now, this is going to kind of compete with Altar of Dragons, which is just 3 damage with the potential of a free dragon. You know what I mean? So I think this is okay. Again, it's a pretty decent budget card. I like how this whole target emblem interaction is kind of a budget set, because there's not really a whole lot of expensive cards. There aren't any epics in it. This is a rare, but I think it might be the only rare. So it's very interesting, because it's kind of like a strategy you have to go into with these target emblems. Like, you have to build around the target emblem synergy. And I like that, because I like the idea that rage can be something other than me go face. You know what I mean? So, or me burn you down with dragon over and over and over again. Next, we have our dwarf. Yes, your prayers have been answered. We have more dwarves. 3 mana, 2/3, 1 level, speed 2. When he enters the field, put a target emblem on another creature. Could be a friendly creature, could be an enemy creature. You'll probably be an enemy creature. At the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to each creature with a target emblem. So if you've spent time spreading around target emblems, and you slap this guy down, put him in the back row, and all of a sudden he starts just, you know, damaging everything with a target emblem. Hell, if you have 2 of them, then suddenly you're throwing out 2 damage to every target emblem creature. You know what I mean? So this is another one of those interactions with target emblems, and I really, really like this card. I mean, just ignoring the fact that he's a 3 mana, 3/2. You know what I mean? He's solid in that regard, and he has the potential to kind of help you control the board, which is just insane. I love this card. I love doors. Okay, so I want you to just keep this card in the back of your mind, because we'll get to Tortured Orcs in just a little bit. I think it's like 4 or 5 cards down. But 3 mana, summon 3 Tortured Orcs. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Tortured Orcs are 2 mana, 2/3, speed 2 slaves. Okay, so you get 3 2/3s for 3 mana. They're better than they sound, and I'll get to that in a second. God, I love this card. I love the flavor of this card so much. 2 mana, 3/2, 2 speed. Now, what's his drawback? Well, whenever he engages in combat, so basically whenever he attacks, or whenever he blocks, it's like Rotting Remains. If you attack or block with him, he does his ability. Distribute 2 damage among other creatures you control at end of combat. So he's gonna damage your own creatures, but again, that's not really a bad thing because you can distribute 2 damage. So you can do 1 to one guy and 1 to another, and you can enable some of these other creatures' combos with being damaged. Now, the flavor of this card is this guy's picking up this gigantic fuck-off mace. You know what I mean? He's got this giant mace. It's clearly bigger than he is, and he just starts spinning it around because that's the only way he can deal damage with it. Now, he's spinning it around. He probably hits like your opponent's creature, or he hits the enemy hero, but he can't stop. He just keeps spinning and probably kneecaps someone. You know what I mean? So, I love the art, and I love the flavor of this card. I just do. You guys know what Lightning Bolt is. It's been spoiled before. Ogre Captive. 2 mana, 2 levels, 4/4, speed 2. Yes, he's a slave. Yes, he counts as 2 slaves. But if you've seen Johto's video, or Johto's spoilers, you know that there's a creature in Dominion that removes slave from all slave creatures. So, if you're able to do that, then holy shit, you're able to start beating people down with a 2 mana 4/4. As long as Ogre Captive is damaged, he is unstoppable. So again, you can enable him through some means that I've mentioned before, the blood spell, or the big legendary dude. You can enable this guy and give him unstoppable. So, not as good as the Dominion Minotaur. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out Johto's spoiler. But it's pretty damn solid. And he's Gibbo and Roni's best friend. You can see Gibbo and Roni riding on his back. And Gibbo and Roni does it. Playing Gibbo and Roni the following turn after playing this guy, it does enable him because he counts as 2 slaves, but they're 2 creatures, right? So that's absolutely solid. Rocky Berserker. I love the look of this card. I love the fact that he's just dropping in on a whole group of dudes. So he's a 3 mana, 2/3, 1 speed. You're thinking, that's crap. Well, he's got Swift, so at least there's that. When he's dealt damage, put a Might Emblem on him, if he doesn't already have one. So you can't just damage him, and pump him up into insane levels. Nope, it's just 1 Might Emblem. If he has a Might Emblem on him, so if you use his ability, or you give him a Might Emblem through, say, Touch of Light, he gets 1 speed for as long as he has the Might Emblem. So he becomes a 3/4, 2 speed. So, yeah. Again, with the interactions with being able to damage your own creatures, he's pretty good. You know what I mean? He's pretty solid. I know you have to work to make him good, but I think he's a swift creature, so at least he's pretty solid there. So if you're able to trade him into something, or if you're able to kill something, then he becomes super good. But again, the ability to damage your own creatures isn't exactly hard. So, excuse me. Let's move on. Oh, I was so hyped for this card. Like, the first time I read it, I was like, oh my god, this card is so cool. And then I kind of sat back and thought about it. I was like, yeah, this is awesome, but not, like, really good. Okay. 3 mana, 4 levels, so it's kind of the grand reunion of Rage. At the start of your turn, gain 1 energy. Now, I think it's a typo or like just a misprint that it doesn't have any energy. If it starts with 1 energy, then it's really good. If it doesn't, then it's kind of bad, and I'll explain why. At the start of each hero's turn, that hero distributes up to X damage among creatures he or she controls, where X is twice the amount of Apocalypse's energy. Apocalypse deals all unassigned damage to that hero. So, if it does start with 1 energy, then your opponent has to deal with 2 damage on their turn. You have to deal with 2 damage on your turn, 4 damage on your opponent's turn, 4 damage on your turn, 6 damage on their turn, 6 damage on your turn. But if it starts with 0 energy, then your opponent gets a free pass, you deal with 2, they deal with 2, you deal with 4, they deal with 4. So, you know, if it doesn't start with any energy, then it's really bad because it's burning you faster than your opponent. But if it does start with 1 energy, then it's burning your opponent before it burns you, which makes it much better. Now, I love the fact that I love the idea of this card that there's just meteors and hell and shit raining down from the sky and taking out everything in its path. I love the idea of this card, but I do kind of need to know whether or not it starts with 1 energy, because that's kind of a deal breaker. If it does, it's great. If it doesn't, it sucks. But it does give us kind of a control finisher for a rage control deck. So, you know, maybe you're playing a whole bunch of creatures and you can just mitigate the damage into infinity, but your opponent can't. You know, it's kind of like an electrostatic storm, but an electrostatic storm that if you don't have a board, it goes face. So, I really like this card, really do. Okay, so here's the Tortured Orc, the card that you get through Forced Labor. So you get 3 of these guys for 3 mana. I want you to just keep that in mind. 3 of this guy for 3 mana. Okay, so 3, 2 speed, 2 3s. And so they're all slaves, so they can't attack because there's too many of them. But as long as Tortured Orc is damaged, it is no longer a slave. Okay, so you can enable this guy to start punching people all over the place and just remove slave from it by all you have to do is damage it. Now, again, the minion has that it's like a 3 mana 2/1. Not only does it search a slave out of your deck, but it makes it so that all slaves are no longer slaves. So if she's in play after you play Forced Labor, then all of a sudden you've got 3 2/3s that are going straight for your opponent. You know what I mean? I really think there's going to be a Dominion Rage slave deck, and it's the first thing I'm going to be trying to work on once this set is released. We all know the worst card in the set. This is just bad. It was when it got spoiled in the secret cards, and it got it, you know, it's still bad. Black Market. Now here's a really weird card. 4 mana, 2 levels, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. The enemy hero puts cards not named Black Market, so you can't, you know, infinitely cycle black, or you can't just go Black Market into Black Market into Black Market into Black Market. From them, combined mana cost of 4 or more into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. So, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Your opponent has to give you at least 4 mana worth of cards. So, here's something. If you don't hit that 4 mana threshold, like you're playing this in like a Rage Rush deck and you get Goblin Warrior, Goblin Warrior, Goblin Warrior, Shrine, Shrine, then guess what? They have to give you all 5 cards. If you don't hit that 4 mana threshold when you play this card, which you might not in Rage, then you draw every single card. Shrines have basically a mana cost of 0. So if you don't hit that threshold, they have to give you everything. So this is a really weird card. It's really cool. It's like a I kind of like it because it's kind of a risk reward. You're paying 4 mana for what you could to draw, you know, basically what could essentially be 1 card if you've got big creatures that you happen to hit. But if you happen to hit a whole bunch of smalls, then you draw a bunch of cards and probably a bunch of creatures. And it's kind of a, you know, you're going to a shady place to buy something. You're not 100% sure what it is or whether it's going to work. But it should, you know, this should be interesting. Probably won't see a lot of play, especially in aggressive decks, but hey, it's card draw and Rage, so at least there's that. Oh, Car of the Deadly Flame. I'm so excited about this card. 3 mana, 2/3, speed 3, so it's a Silverblade Warrior, but it's so much better. Heroes dealt damage by Car can't gain life as long as you control Car. So all he's got to do is poke your opponent, and suddenly they can't gain life as long as he's on the board, and he can stick around. So if you hit 3 levels and pay 3 mana, he transforms into a 4/4 flyer. So he becomes a mini dragon. You know, he's a 4/4 speed 3. He's not a 5/5 speed 3, but, you know, he's kind of just a little bit smaller of a dragon. And of course he is a dragon because he's a dragon human. So this will probably transform him into a dragon, like card art. Like the card art will change, like Silver Fang does, and he'll become a dragon. And he loses this power, but by that you mean he loses the ability to buff himself. You know, he transforms, he can't transform again. He can't transform from dragon to dragon. It makes it so that you can't pump him up like crazy for a bunch of mana. So I'm really happy about this card, especially the fact that he's kind of just a solid 3 mana, 2/3, 3 speed. You know what I mean? The fact that he can become better is just amazing. And here's our last card, Gruul's the Infiltrator. 1 mana, 1/1, 3 speed. Now you're thinking, oh great, Rage got another 1-drop. But this is a creature you never want to play on turn 1, and I'll show you why. When Grills enters the field, put a target emblem on an enemy creature. So basically he's got a whole bunch of enter the battlefield effects, which you play him on turn 1, you're missing out completely on. Whenever Grills deals damage to a hero, deal 3 damage. You choose one. Either deal 3 damage to a target creature with a target emblem, so you play him, you attack with him, and you get to ping that 3 mana or that 3 health creature with you put the target emblem on. Exchange control of Grills with an enemy creature with a target emblem. That second ability is really weird. Like, you get to give your opponent a 1/1, but you get the creature that you put the target emblem on. So if you're able to sneak him through, then all of a sudden you're stealing giant creatures. And of course he's a 1/1, so if you are holding on to a Word of Fire or something, you know, then you attack, you ping him for, or you poke your opponent for 1, you switch to control, and you just snipe Grills so they can't take him back. Because they'll get the ability to do one of these things on their turn when they attack with him. So yeah, this guy's really weird. He's kind of a control card in Rage, and I'm happy about that. You guys know that I love the idea of a Rage control deck, but it's just so weird. This whole target emblem interaction just feels kind of weird. I haven't seen any other interactions with target emblems, and like I said, I've seen everything except Order. I don't expect Order to have target emblem interaction, but you never know. So, based off of just what's in Rage, this target emblem stuff is just kind of weird. I don't think it'll be super good, but I think people will try and make it work, and there will be a fringe deck that plays just enough of the target emblem cards, I think. Anyway, so let's move on to the new rarity, Heroic. We'll move on to the new rarity, Heroic, and all the multi-aspect cards. There's 6 of them. Now, I just want to go on record as saying, my opinion on this new rarity is, it's fine. I understand why the devs are doing it. It makes it so that there's more to kind of grind for, so you don't super build your collection really quick. But I am saying that I would be happier if, like the heroes, because all the heroes, Zash and Darius and all them, they're getting moved to the Heroic rarity because they're heroes. They're heroic. You guys get that? They're moving to the Heroic rarity, and you only need 1 of each hero, right? So if that 1 of mentality transfers to the multi-aspect cards, like you can only own 1 and play 1 of each of these 6 multi-aspect cards. They're all legendary creatures with names, so it would make kind of sense. I'm fine with that because of the new crafting cost. I think it was like, what, 400 shrines for each one of these guys? Then it would make it kind of worth it, you know? You wouldn't have to invest 1,200 shrines, or I'm sorry, 1,600 shrines, I can't math, into a full playset of these guys. Plus, balancing-wise, there are some of these guys I don't want my opponent to have a full playset of. But the ability to only play 1 of these cards, or only needing to own 1, the playset being 1, would be really nice, and that's what I would prefer in these multi-aspect cards. I'm not saying that's what it is. I can't confirm whether it is or not, because I haven't actually heard one way or the other from the developers, but as of recording this, I'm just saying that's what I would prefer. I'm not saying that's the way it is. So, first things first, Regan Demon Catcher. This is the one, of all the 6 cards, this is the one I just kind of looked at and I was like, huh? Okay. So he's a 3 mana, 3/5, 2 speed, in Dominion and Corruption. You need 1 of each, obviously, to play him. At the start of your turn, summon a demon with a level equal to your level under the enemy hero's control. So if you're at 2 levels, then you're obviously giving them either a Bedeviled Fiend, a Blood Witch Harpy. So summoning a Blood Witch Harpy to your opponent's Goblin board or your opponent's Elf board, that's kind of funny. But if you ever go 3 levels, you're forced to give him a Succubus. If you ever go 4 levels, you're forced to give him a Berserker. So this guy's kind of weird. But he gets even weirder. When an enemy demon dies, summon a copy of it under your control. Now, as a 3/5, he's big enough to trade with just about every demon except Bedeviled Fiend, excluding the ones that came out in this most recent set, which Fuzz will talk about. So he can attack and kill just about any demon, assuming they attack with him. He can block them too, and then you get them. So he's I don't know what to think about this guy. He's good and then he's bad, but then he's bad, but then he's good. He's just so kind of kind of unpredictable, because giving it to your opponent doesn't necessarily mean you can plan for exactly what your opponent is going to do. I think he's good. I just don't think he's as good as some of these other cards, which you'll see. So, next, Melindra, Spirit Guide. She's a fairy in Wisdom and Nature. 2/3, 2 speed for 4 mana. She's a flyer, obviously, because she's a fairy. There's a lot of spirits that came out in Wisdom, and there's a lot of fairies that came out in Nature. When she enters the field, you may put a spirit from your hand onto the field, and when she leaves the field, that spirit goes back to your hand. So, if you, like, say, I mean, you're playing 3 aspects. Say she brings in a free Mesmerizing Spirit, right? They have to kill the Mesmerizing Spirit before her, otherwise you're going to bounce the Mesmerizing Spirit back when they kill Melindra, and then you get to play it again. What I see in this card is, it's a fairy, it brings out a spirit, Grand Reunion. Just put it in your Grand Reunion deck and say GG. Because it's basically 2 of the requirements for, for Grand Reunion, all in one. So, hey, yay, cool, that's a thing. I think she's okay. There are a lot of spirits that are coming out, like I said, in Wisdom, and I mean, she's a creature that gives you a free card, that brings out a free creature from your hand. So, for 4 mana, not bad. Chakri, Riot, Instigator. This is a Rage Dominion one. 3 mana, 4/4, 2 speed. Enters the field, put a target, and at the start of your turn, put a target emblem on another creature. So again, it's the target emblem interaction. Creatures with target emblems get +1/+1 attack and become slaves. So if you're facing off against a slave deck, you can use his ability to make another creature a slave, or your opponent's creature slave, and suddenly they have too many slaves, so they can't attack or block your upcoming attack. Or you make one of your own creatures a slave, and they get the pump up. So I think this is definitely solid, especially in my Rage Dominion slave deck that I'm brewing in the back of my mind. So, cool, solid. Target emblem synergy, slave synergy. That's definitely kind of the focus of these 2 aspects in this expansion. So, awesome. Very cool. Oh my god. Azirius, the Burning Agony. Corruption Rage. 4 mana, 4/3, 2 speed. Okay. When I saw this card, all I could think of, I said this to Fuzz, and he said he was going to quote me in his video, but I guess he didn't, so I'm going to use it here. It looks like Fia fucked Berserker and gave birth to Demon Jesus. Holy shit, this card. I'll get into it. So it's Flying Swift. So right now, right off the bat, you're paying 4 mana for a 4/3 Swift creature with flying. So you've already got kind of a beat stick in her. She deals damage in the form of decaying cards, which you're sitting there thinking, well, that's bad. But, so whenever she attacks, she mills your opponent for 4 cards equal to whatever her power is. Whenever an enemy hero decays cards, you select one of those cards. Azirius deals damage equal to that card's mana cost to the enemy creature, or hero. So if they mill a Bedeviled Fiend, you hit them for 3, or you ping another creature for 3. If they mill a Antriel, you hit them for 4. Dread Dragon, you hit them for 5. You get what I mean? She's such a good creature, and she's a demon. So Dark Portal, there you go. And I mean, if you play her out, swing, hit them for, mill them for 4, and then you reach down in there and you burn them for something, then in the same attack, you've sacrificed your Berserker, who's got the on death ability, and you summon out 3 vultures, then all of a sudden you're milling them for another 12, and you get 3 more triggers off of her. So it's just, it gives mill kind of a win condition, and it makes mill better, which, fine, I'm super happy. I love mill decks. But even if you don't play a mill deck, she's just good. Because she'll still trade with creatures, she'll still kill creatures, but she deals damage to heroes in the form of decaying cards. Now, I was talking about this with Fuzz and Jodo. Obviously, you know, Fuzz loves her because she's a demon, but there's a small typo in this card, because it says whenever she deals damage to heroes, or she deals damage in the form to heroes in the form of decaying cards, and whenever an enemy hero decays cards, you burn them. So if this doesn't say deals combat damage or attacks the opponent creature or opponent, you know what I mean? If it's just out of her own effect, then she can kind of infinitely burn you. Because let's say she attacks, right? Hits your opponent for 4, mills them 4. Then you choose a creature, you burn them. Oops, she just dealt damage to the enemy hero, and so they've got a decay cards. Oops, then she's taken. They dealt damage. She mills them. You pull out a card, you burn them. Oops, she dealt damage. They've got a mill, you burn them. Oops, she dealt. You know what I mean? It's an infinite cycle with the way the card is worded now. If it's Azirius deals combat damage to heroes in the form of decaying cards, then she only does it on attack, which is what I assume she does, because she's way too good if she alone burns your opponent to death. You know what I mean? Assuming you don't hit 4 shrines off the mill. I'm gonna assume it works. It's just combat damage, but you never know. She could be like the most broken card in the game, which is saying a lot. Tren Birchwood Guardian, otherwise known as the tree biter, you know, rock biter. These look like strong hands. Yeah. Anyway, 3 mana, 4/5 in nature and order. Oh, I love this card. So he's an unstoppable creature, but you may not even attack with him. 3 mana puts a Might Emblem on Tren. Spells with mana cost equal to the number of Might Emblems on Tren can't be played. So, if you do 1, your opponent can't play. You pay 3 mana, put a Might Emblem on him. Your opponent can't play Ambushing Strike, Touch of Light, Noxious Fumes. There are many different one mana spells out there. You put another Might Emblem on them. They can't consume, they can't Word of Grace, they can't Word of Pain, they can't Word of Fire, they can't Pacify, they can't Ancient Wisdom, they can't, you know what I mean? So this guy is insane, and I love him. He's like a spell warden on steroids. He's a giant treant. Well, he's a treant. I mean, he's a plant, but he's a treant. All of a sudden, you're able to lock down an opponent, and it is exactly that mana cost, so it can't be like, it's not mana cost or lower, so you can't put 3 emblems or 3 Might Emblems on them, and so all of a sudden everything 3, 2, and 1 cost can't be used. No, it's just that exact mana cost. But if you're playing him, you have a specific set of spells in mind that you don't want your opponent to play, so that's kind of what you're aiming for. You bring him up to 1 or 2 Might Emblems and you sit there with him. And if you put 2 Might Emblems on him, he's a 6/7 with Unstoppable. That's going to start punching your opponent in the face. You know what I mean? This is just such a cool card. I love the flavor of every one of these dual aspect cards, because they do have something that's from each aspect. Next, you've got Seluxio the Allbringer. Order, Wisdom, 4 mana, 3/3, 3 speed. So he's kind of like he's a smaller Protector of the Innocent, but is an angel. Enemy hero can't use hero skills. Now, obviously, as we saw with Lightning Bolt, this won't stop them from Divine Offering, but it will stop them from using their hero powers, which is solid. It's a very good control deck card. It's just very strong. I mean, it's a 3 mana 3/3, so it dies to a few things. Or 4 mana 3/3, excuse me. It dies to a number of things, but it prevents your opponent from hero powering. So if you're afraid, if you just gotta drop this guy to stop your opponent from going Despina or basic Despina Dragon combo for a turn or 2, you know what I mean? If they can't immediately answer it, then you've stalled them out. Maybe you need just those few extra turns or an extra turn or 2 to win. Then there's also, it stops Advanced Zash from wiping the board. It's a very interesting card. Will it see play in straight angels? I doubt it, just because it forces you to go into Wisdom, although I think there's an Order Wisdom deck out there somewhere. It's kind of like a tempo that finishes off with big ass angels. But do you play this in Advanced Alexa? I doubt it. I think you just much rather play like basic Darius and just kind of go for like a mid-ranger control deck with these 2 aspects, rather than just go straight angels. Oops. Oh, that's the last one. right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, okay. So let me know what you guys think about these cards in the comments below. I think Rage got some pretty good cards and some kind of weird cards. The new rarity and the new dual aspect will be the subject of a lot of talking, let's be honest. But the Rage cards I think are pretty solid. I really like the new legendary mythic we got. I love the dragon creature the dragon mage we got. I love a lot of these cards. I really do. And I'm just so happy that stuff like this, stuff that's not just necessarily go straight face, is in Rage. We got some cards that are not like straight up aggro, and I love that because I want more control ideas for Rage. You know me. My favorite decks are Rage control decks. Anyway, sorry about that. I got interrupted. So, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Did Rage get all the good cards? Did Rage get all the bad cards? Let me know. If you like the video, thumbs up. If not, don't. And thank you everybody so much for watching. May the cards rise to meet you and bring good RNG to your enemies.